please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. Well, markets at this point in time still struggling around yesterday's levels. It gave us a momentary pleasure of seeing a new number, a new high of 10,494, and thereafter has lost about 40 points. But not done much, not much of losses from yesterday's closing levels, and the mid-cap index, to be sure, is rising to new highs today as well. Let's shift focus to one factor which may be taking the bank index down today. The bank index is down about 0.3 or a third of a percent, and that's because SEBI, the market regulator, is looking at once again reviving its plans to make companies disclose their default to the exchanges. We understand from CNBC Awaaz, our sister channel, that the rule is going to be rediscussed on 28th in the next SEBI board meet, but it could be reintroduced with some tweaks. So what does this mean for banks and for companies? We are now joined by the management of UCO Bank, Ravi Krishan Thakkar. The managing director and CEO joins us. Mr. Thakkar, will this be bad news for banks if that rule is reintroduced?
No, it's not a question of bad or good news. When this was initially introduced, I think that's a good step in bringing more transparency. But there were some issues, especially involving the bank loans. What would basically constitute a default? Whether it's an account becoming NPA or SMA2 or say single day interest payment not being paid. So sometimes what happens is every month and we debit the interest. And suppose there is a delay of 1 or 2 days in servicing the interest, whether that will also constitute a default. So these were some of the concerns of the banking industry, which hopefully I think should be addressed by SEBI when they bring about the revised norms.
What was your sense? How will the new rule look, you think?
New rule, that's what we are looking at is there should be some clarity as to what exactly is a default. I think a default should mean something. There should be some time given, like for a banking, for a normal running account. These days, sometimes the account is overdrawn or something. It happens like that. That should not constitute a default. I think that clarification would have to be given.
Okay. Apart from that, what are the other key considerations by the SEBI that you expect to see regarding disclosure? Because we spoke to a couple of experts who indicated that, not just the time duration of the loans, but also the quantum of the loans, the cash flows of the company, all of that needs to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, I think that is also one of the issues. Again, a default could be of a small amount. Of like say a company enjoying a loan worth 100 crores of rupees, but there are 1 lakh default would also require to be intimated to SEBI or put in the public domain. So I think these are the concerns which have to be addressed.
Okay. Finally, Mr. Thakkar, before we let you go, have you got any word from the government on when you will get equity infusion from them and when you may get the recap bonds?
We have been having discussions regarding the capital infusion, but when the capital would be coming is very difficult to say.
Okay.
It may be either by end of this quarter or in the next quarter. I don't know.
All right. We'll leave it at that. Mr. Thakkar, thank you very much for joining us. We will, of course, touch base with bankers on 28th after we get some clarity on exactly how the new rule might look.
Yeah, PNB, of course, is the stock which is down about 3.5%, but the mid-cap index has hit yet another record high, and now, in fact, the advanced decline is approaching 2:1. Good time to get you some stock ideas. Mitesh Thakkar and Prakash Kaba back with us. Sandeep Bagle also joins us. Mitesh, so thoughts on the screen so far? I mean, maybe playing on expected lines, all-time high and then some cool off. And what about individual stocks?
Yes, I think, Anuj, very likely that, all-time highs will attract some profit booking, and that's why we said either you buy about 10,500 or wait for that dip to happen, and this could be the dip which is going on. So 10,435, 425 would be your ideal buying zone. Keep a stop below 10,400 and look for 10,490, 500 as your short-term target. For the time being, the stock calls that I have are a buy on ONGC with a stop at 184. Look for targets of 200. And Engineers India is also getting into a good intraday chart space. So buy with a stop at 190, look for targets of 204.
No time to short, Mitesh. Any of the PSU banks, many of them under pressure?
See, one Latha, I think, we're not looking at a big decline. I think, it's just some supply pressure and profit booking at the earlier highs. So shorting may not, as an activity, may not be very profitable. A couple of PSU banking names are under pressure, but again, I think they've already corrected and are very close to the recent lows. So not the best risk reward equation to go short right now.
Okay, Prakash, good morning again. What are you trading now?
Good morning, Latha. Yes, I think I like Diwan Housing Finance. Looks Diwan Housing Finance can climb up to levels closer to around 635 zones, stop below 610. And again, from the same pack as LIC Housing Finance, here too looks like there's a good base formation out here. Can climb to levels closer to 580, stop below 562.
Okay, and Sandeep, good morning. What are you trading today?
Good morning, Anuj. I would go with a buy in a Volta, stop loss of 630, target of 672, and a buy in a Gale, stop loss of 495, target of 531.
Okay, the one stock which has been making a bit of a comeback is Lupin. Now, just pull out the intraday chart of that stock. Clearly, at lower level, there's been quite a bit of buying that you've seen on that stock. And look at that today, once again moving to the high point. Mitesh, have you tracked it of late?
Very much, Anuj. I think that clearly, one, there's this news flow of promoters buying from the open market, and that's quite positive. I think the stock chart is also reversing from extremely oversold levels. So from a trading point of view, I think keeping a stop at 865, which is hardly about 1.25% away, I think I would possibly want to take a long trade over here and look for targets in range of about 910 to begin with, and possibly 930.
Yeah, I had two other stocks.
Latha, by the way, Tata Steel has moved to the low point now, down 2.5% at this point in time. So sometimes, in these commodities, you got to do the reverse of what your first instinct would tell you, but 2.5% lower. What
you're absolutely. And anyway, it was a huge dilution. So
yes.
Even Nigel went with a red when he spoke about the stock. Actually, it's going back to that support of 690. It could be dangerous. At 690, what will you do? Does it become a buy at all at 690, Mitesh?
Yeah, so Latha, I think 690 is a good important level, 687 to be precise. I think, and if it reverses from here, we'll go long. Otherwise, we'll just wait and watch. I think, if it starts breaking below 690, 680 zone, then I would be looking at correction. Though that, I think the indicator setup is not that negative. But if the price was to break this important support level, you might get a minor correction happening over here.
All right, gentlemen, thanks a lot for your time today. And of course, Mitesh will touch base with you in an hour's time. Edelweiss is the stock in focus once again. It's a company which has seen it's been a big multi-bagger over the last 2 years and continuing to expand, now buying religious securities business. Rashesh Shah is with us, chairman, of course, of Edelweiss. Rashesh, good morning. I know your penchant for expanding, but what was really so exciting about religious business that you bought it?
Actually, it's a good business. They have a fairly large client base, more than 1 million customers, and it actually is a very good strategic fit with our wealth management business, because as you know, the mass affluent wealth management is one of the fastest growing segments, and we are the leaders in that. And with this acquisition, we will almost triple the client base that we have. So for us, it's a very strong strategic fit in an area where we are already in leadership place, and this will strengthen that. And it's a very high quality business, but needs investments in technology and product and client.
Sure, but Rashesh, that clientele is mostly in securities business, and I think which is, we were speaking to Nitin, he said the focus would be to generate wealth management business out of that. Do you think that transition is going to be easy?
Actually, that is what we did. If you remember, a few years ago, we acquired the anagram brokerage business.
Yes.
And did the same thing. Basically, I think brokerage business is getting converted into wealth management business. And to convert that, you need product, technology, processes, people, all of that. And we have already made that investment when we did the anagram transition from broking to wealth management. And this is actually the same that, but now we already have the backend. So this will be an easier plug-and-play for us.
Okay. Well, we're just getting you pictures of the BJP parliamentary meet where the PM will address the party MPs. We'll get you the speeches when they start. At the moment, it's just about to begin. Those are just live pictures that we're getting you. Rasesh, good morning. What kind of an ROI, or return on this investment, are you expecting?
It's a function of, how much we can expand the other products and all that. But to give you an idea, we currently have a client base which is about half of what they have. So in a way, we are tripling the business.
Okay.
We are paying almost about 100 crore premium for that. They have 150 crore net worth and we are paying 250 crore. So effectively buying the business, the client and everything for about 100 crores. We expect that in 18 months or 2 years we should be able to earn this back.
Okay.
So through the product portfolio and the platform that we have.
Okay. Well, Rasesh, since we have you with us, you have this extraordinary ability to pick up stressed assets. What is your sense about the NCLT? Do you think the steel assets will be picked up without too much of a haircut, or will they be over 50%?
I think it will vary from asset to asset, but the larger steel assets I think are very highly coveted. And my expectation would be at least 50 to 65% range for a lot of those.
Okay.
And I think that will be a fair deal because the replacement cost of these assets is very high. But obviously, it won't only be, replacement cost will not be the only factor. People will also look at earnings power and fresh investment required. So I would think about 50 to 65% for individual assets in steel sector will be a good buy for many people.
Rashesh, how big is this pie? These numbers have been mind-boggling. I remember when I did my show with you and I asked you, these numbers have become 10 times over the last 2 or 3 years. And you said, these numbers will keep surprising you. I'm talking about, the overall wealth management book. I'm talking about the way some of the domestic savings are getting into stock markets. So, have you done any sort of analysis in terms of how much further they can grow in terms of a CAGR?
See, currently the entire wealth management piece in India is still very small. Our estimate is it's only about $250 billion. By 2025, we think this will be 4 to 5 times the current size. It is growing at 20 to 24% CAGR per annum. Take that, and actually that is what it has grown in the last 10 years also. So if you just extrapolate that, I think by 2025, when India becomes a $5 trillion GDP, total wealth management assets should be at least about $1 trillion. So we're seeing a 4x jump from here.
Okay, that's substantial. And again, since we have you with us, what's your thought on this huge rural rush that we are seeing? Good theme to play?
I think so. I think the government's commitment to double farm incomes by 2022 is a real commitment, and I think after the recent elections it is very clear that there is a large part of India which also needs to be taken care of. So I think rural investments will go up. I think government's focus on rural programs will go up. And this is not new because this has been going on for last year. The rural distress, I think government has realized that rural incomes have to go up, and we have seen that if you speak to companies in FMCG sector and all of those, they are seeing a fairly good demand on the rural side. So I think rural will be a good theme for most.
Okay. All right, Rasesh, pleasure having you with us and all the very best with your new acquisition as well. Thank you for joining us. That's a man with a nose for stressed business, and look at the numbers he's giving you for wealth management or mass affluent in India, which will put its savings into probably equities. 5 times growth in that kitty is what he's expecting.
So once again, it's the day of mid-caps and big rally on in real estate stocks. Just take a look at stocks like HDIL, which has now moved to high point. DLF as well is at the high point. Indiabulls Real Estate, no longer part of the F&O list, but that stock is also at the high point. So a lot of these individual stocks at this point in time are doing well. Manisha Gupta is here to tell us how the commodity trades are shaping up early in the morning. Manisha, good morning.
Morning, and thank you for that, Anuj. More in green than red is how we have seen the commodity space continue to trade. Start with the crude oil prices, and we are still trading on the higher side of the range here. For the Indian prices, 3,700 rupees per barrel is still holding, and you have very bullish cues coming in from most part of the market, whether it is the economic data that has come in from China and Europe. The demand estimates for 2018 are positive. The geopolitical concerns are still on, and you have seen the US inventories continue to decline. And then, of course, there are supply supply concerns, not just from the North Sea pipeline, but also from outages that you have seen in Nigeria, in Venezuela, etc. And that's making its way into the prices. The gold and silver also has seen some buying on the lower side here. The US tax reform is something that the markets are watching out for, and there is some uncertainty building up because of that. The US dollar, in the meanwhile, has continued to decline versus the Swiss franc and Japanese yen, and that has been supportive for gold and silver. So we are back above those important key psychological levels. We did see a breach of 28,000 as well in the previous week, but we seem to be holding that well right now. The metal space is quite divided, and we are looking at proper individual fundamentals onto that one. Some profit taking is what has continued for copper and especially for aluminum, where you have fresh data coming from China. But the steel ingredients and all of that has been on the positive side. Shanghai steel is trading 1.5% higher. Nickel and zinc clearly a part of that. And lead is up because of the winter battery demand expectations. That, of course, has been surging on the back of that. Trading strategies, and we have them from Nirmal Bang, which has a buy call in most of the sectors, especially for the gold prices. They expect the buying to continue. 29,650 is the upside that they're watching for gold prices in the day today. They also have a buy call in the crude oil prices with targets of 3,765 on the higher side for intraday.
All right. Thank you very much for that update, Manisha. We'll touch base with you, of course, on the hour. Now let's shift back to this big rural theme that we saw playing after the Gujarat elections. Expectations that the farm areas will get more focus from the government in the budget and thereafter as well. Shriram Transport, separately, that stock has been buzzing, and that's probably after the hangover of the IDFC deal going away. Generally, we've also seen auto companies posting strong commercial vehicle sales. So for all these reasons, let's invite the management. Umesh Revankar, the managing director, joins in. Good morning, Umesh. Thanks much for joining us. First tell us how's business been in the third quarter itself. We saw some excellent CV sales.
The business has been good. The credit demand is quite good. As you rightly pointed out, the rural economy is doing quite good because post-harvest there seems to be better demand coming from the rural side. Apart from what happened in the election, the outlay for the rural has been good, even in the current budget. So only thing is the execution was a little slower. Maybe now there will be more focus on the execution. So on the rural infrastructure part of it, I feel there will be more focus and better demand, and the rural economy itself is doing well. With a better harvest and better output of the kharif crop. I feel if the winter crop also is likely to be better, good, and we should see a continued demand in the rural side.
Mr. Revankar, good morning. And you see the CV sales of last 2-3 months, they have been phenomenal. So is this a real recovery in the cycle, or is this base effect playing out? That really is a big question.
It's only base effect. You should see month on month, not year on year, because you can't compare with last year November and December sales and now. It's totally out of context. So I feel we should look at month on month. The new vehicle, heavy vehicle sales have been good in certain pockets, mainly because there is some realignment in the transportation. So like people who were earlier used to run the vehicle on 25 tonner, they are moving into 37 tonner because of restriction on the loads to be because of the overload has been banned in the northern belt, especially UP, Bihar and all. So people are moving for 37 tonner. So that has been more of a replacement and not exactly because of the new activity.
Okay. Well, therefore, can you give us some month-on-month indications? I think you did about 11,000 crore, almost 11,000 crore in disbursements first quarter. Second quarter, it shot up to what, 12,400 crore. So what should we expect? A substantial jump since this is busy season, third and fourth quarters?
The second quarter has been large, mainly because of the fresh demand which was postponed from the first quarter.
Sure.
So it came into second quarter because of the GST and because of the Euro 4 or BS4.
Fair enough.
So I feel this quarter also should be on same line. Having said it, the demand for LCVs have been naturally growing. It is good quarter on quarter and on also year on year. So LCV demand is coming because of agri movement and also e-commerce activity. E-commerce activities have gone up substantially in the last 9 months, I should say.
Okay. You know, your cost of funds is about 7.5% when you last spoke with us. What is it in the third quarter? And now will you start, what would be your best guess for the next 2 quarters or, calendar 2018?
Our net interest margin was 7.5 and the cost of funds were around 8.75 to 9.
Okay.
I think it is remaining at same level. We have not had any increase, mainly because our ALM being very good. We normally borrow long and lend long. We don't have a short-term borrowing like CPs in a big way.
Okay.
Because of that, we don't have an impact on our cost of borrowing time being. And I don't think in the last quarter also we'll have an impact because the securitization program is going on steadily.
Okay.
So we have a good securitization arrangement for this quarter, and also last quarter will be normally higher than the previous quarters.
Okay.
So you will maintain these margins that you have done for last 2 quarters, Mr. Revankar, 7.5%.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So give us some idea of what kind of a disbursement growth we can look at year on year for all of FY18 and also for FY19. Just a broad indication.
This year we had indicated 12 to 15% AUM growth over the previous year. We should be able to do more than that. We should be able to do around 15. When we give a bandwidth of 12 to 15, it was because of the expectation on the monsoon.
Sure.
But now the monsoon has been good. We should be able to do around 15. Next year it should be better because we expect more investment in the infrastructure, both in the road, port, railway, and in the rural, all put together.
Okay.
I feel that should give us some additional opportunity to lend better.
Okay. Will you look for expansions, inorganic, buying up anything?
No idea. No plan as such.
Right.
And not many opportunities as such.
All right. We'll leave it at that. Umesh Revankar, thank you very much for joining us and have a great 2018 if we don't see you by then.